So, the next item on our agenda, we're going to hear from the visioning groups now. And this is what you'll be voting on today. And each visioning group will be making a brief presentation. And then when we start the gallery walk, you'll be able to go visit each of the visioning groups' booth. So we're going to start, and the visioning groups will be coming on up: economic development, education, governance, public safety and realignment, agriculture and ag. So I think we're starting off with economic development.
Good morning, I'm Cliff Sherwood, and I am not going to sing. You wouldn't like the result, trust me. We're here this morning to talk about economic development. We're one of the 5 areas of EALI that's under discussion today. And while we're not in direct competition, we really are, if you look at all 5 of the elements, we really tie together very well. I'm going to present to you 3 goals. I'm going to talk about those goals. I'm going to show you examples of projects that may implement those goals, and then I'm going to ask you to support us by voting on your ballots for economic development. You're going to hear about health and safety today, and those are important elements because without healthy communities and safe communities, we can't have economic development. You're going to hear about schools. Without well-educated population, we can't have economic development. You're going to hear about agriculture and the environment. It's important to have a clean and safe environment. It's important that those ag people can get their products and their farm produce to market, and that's what economic development is going to help implement. And you're going to hear about governance. Now, we all know that the government does not make a profit, but what the government can do is they can implement various projects that we're going to talk about today. They've done that with the Ashland Teen Center. They've done that with a number of infrastructure improvements throughout the unincorporated area. And we're going to suggest several projects today that would support the 3 goals that we have. We're going to talk about strong business activity creates dynamic, healthy communities. These are our commercial corridors. And if you look at Ashland and Cherryland, if you look at Castro Valley, if you look at San Lorenzo, all of us have the same situation. We have a corridor that comes right through our communities, and there's not really any place that we can call downtown. We all have the same economic development problems in that we have no circulation in our communities. We do have areas that are working. We do have areas that are certainly not working because there's vacancy, there's underutilized sites. So here's the 3 goals. We'd like to improve the look and feel of our communities. We'd like to promote economic investment and attract businesses and customers. And we'd like to improve the infrastructure and the communication technology. I'm going to give you examples of each of projects that would fulfill each of these goals. Now remember, these are only examples. There are a whole bunch more, and as this process goes forward, there'll be a debate in our communities about what projects should be accomplished and which should not. But the idea is these 3 goals are the basis of how we move forward in economic development. Next. So goal number 1 is improving the feel and look of our community. Here's what we call blight. You know, you eat with your eyes first. The first impressions of an area last as we drive through. All of us see this kind of situation in each of our communities. Here's one of the biggest blight problems that we have in our communities. Billboards. The single most important thing that the county could do for us is to eliminate all of those billboards in all of our communities. I know that the county is currently talking to the billboard companies right now about consolidating in a number of larger billboards that would eliminate some of the billboards. I would trust that what they do is negotiate to get rid of all of the billboards in return for perhaps 4 or 5 mega billboards. It's ugly for ugly, I agree upon that, but the single most important thing we can do is to improve the look of our community. Here's what happens when the county puts their efforts together with the community and creates a downtown. This is the project in Castro Valley Boulevard. Granted, there was some pain in getting to it. It caused a lot of disruption to businesses, but the end result is we now have a section of Castro Valley Boulevard that is walkable, that is open, that is welcoming to businesses and welcoming to pedestrians to come down and shop, spend their money, and keep that money in Castro Valley instead of going to Pleasanton or going to Berkeley or going wherever and spending their dollars. This same kind of infrastructure improvement, increasing the look and feel of our community, is happening in all of the other communities as well. Next. This is the kind of thing that we want to eliminate, and that happens through proactive intervention, which prevents disruption to businesses. Next. Here's something that we think is an important element, is bonding our neighborhoods, giving us the identity so that each of us can identify with our communities in a positive way. And it isn't a whole lot. I mean, signage is such an integral part of that understanding that you're driving into San Lorenzo, you're driving into Cherryland, you're driving into Ashland or Fairview. We all have communities that we identify with, and unless other people get that same identity and that same pride, then it doesn't work. We don't get the kind of spin-off that we need from that. Next. Here's another example. Banners in the community. That program is being implemented by the county and it's working. It's working in Ashland, it's working in Cherryland, it's working in Castro Valley, and I know that that program is coming to San Lorenzo as well. Next. Here again is a shot of the streetscape in Castro Valley, showing pride in our community, recognition that this is Castro Valley. Here's a banner program that will change on a seasonal basis, but this is a representation of the wildlife that's in Castro Valley, over by Lake Chabot and in other areas of Castro Valley. Building pride in our communities is an integral part of economic development. Next. There's much to crow about. Here we're entering Cherryland. Another example of how we build pride. Next. So, another thing that's happened, and I know that, and you know that there's no longer a redevelopment agency, but one of the things they did was facade improvement. This is not in our community, but it's an excellent example of what can happen when the government steps in and helps communities by improving the look and feel, providing better, attractive looking businesses that will attract more customers and therefore more revenue. Next. So, goal number 2, we want to promote and support business and attract customers. So how do we ask government to do that? What help can we get from government? Here's some examples of projects that we think might work. This is the new sushi land on East 14th Street. They struggled for 6 months getting through the process to get their permits, and they're finally open. But they're a knockout. There are crowds that are going into this business. You have to wait to get served, to get your food. There's customers out the door. One successful business can attract a lot of other businesses to the area. The second example is I'm a commercial real estate developer, and I'm currently working on a project for Tiburcio Vasquez Health Center at 162nd and East 14th. We'll be done with that project at the end of May next year. There'll be 81 new employees in that facility, and those employees are going to have to find a place to have lunch. They're going to drop off their clothes for cleaning when they pick them up on the way home. They're going to patronize the businesses in the area, therefore driving the economy. Sushi Land has proven that it works. We need to find a way to support these people, make our government business friendly so that they can come through the process on a speedier basis and continue to build economies, to build the tax base, and to provide jobs. Next. We need to support our chamber. The chamber has gone through some changes lately. As many of you know, the chamber got beat up pretty bad by the economy and lost membership over the last 4 or 5 years because of bad economic conditions in the county and throughout the country. The chamber's coming back. They've restructured. They have a new director. They need to be one of our partners in helping to support business. Next. just as we need to have successful community events that also promote our businesses, this is an example such as the Farmers Market in Castro Valley. There's other farmers markets throughout the area. There's other community events. But this is an example of the kind of thing that again drives customers and keeps those customers in our communities rather than going outside of the community and leaking those tax dollars to some other place. Next. Here's another event. I think this is either the, I'm not sure this is Easter egg or this is Dia de los Muertos at Mega State. But again, community events build pride in our communities, just as the banner program that we described, just as the signage program that we described. All of these things build identity, build pride, and therefore keep our economy going. Next. Here again is we need to support business creation and entrepreneurship. The county put together this seminar, which is how do you grow and create a home-based business. This was done under the Community Development Department in cooperation with SBA, the Small Business Administration in Oakland. And this was held in the unincorporated communities. It gave people an idea about what do you need to do to start a business and what do you need to do to make it successful. Next. We need to pursue site development. You've all seen vacant lots. You know that jobs and tax revenue are waiting to be realized on these sites. Next. I'm getting the 1 minute shot, so let me move along here. Goal number 3 is that, and let's move through a couple of them. Goal number 3. Goal number 3 is to improve our infrastructure and our communications technology. We've talked about the infrastructure a little bit. I want to talk just a minute about communication technology. It may take me 2 minutes, but let me just go through it. Pat Kennedy is a guy in San Leandro who owns OSI Software. OSI Software is an international software firm that provides process technology. What they do is help people understand how large manufacturing plants operate and what makes them efficient. Pat could not get the kind of broadband speed in his office building on Davis Street in San Leandro that he needed to communicate worldwide. Pat decided that he would partner with the city of San Leandro and put a fiber optic loop around the entire city. Pat paid $3 million of his own money to install that loop. What that has done is it has dramatically changed the game in San Leandro. You now have communities, the brokerage community, commercial brokerage community, is looking to San Leandro because it's one of 3 cities in the Bay Area that has this kind of technology and this kind of speed. We need to do the same thing in the unincorporated areas. And I've been working with Supervisor Miley's office and others to bring that kind of technology down East 14th Street, to loop it around so that our areas, our unincorporated areas, are not playing second fiddle when these folks come to call. I was recently in Lit San Leandro's office in San Leandro, on the second floor of an old building. Across the hall is Power Inc. What they do is monitor solar farms throughout the world. That data comes into San Leandro off this fiber loop, and they do it in a little office in San Leandro and run solar farms throughout the world. This is the kind of thing that can happen in our communities if we're committed to the infrastructure. Next. This is one of the technology parts. Next. Broadband is the single most important selling point in commercial real estate today. Location is important, price is important, and parking is important, but most companies are looking for fast internet speeds. And that's what we're trying to bring, and that's what we would hope that you would help us support. Next. This is an example of Emeryville that took a couple square miles of old industrial buildings and turned them into a shopping center. It's one of the most successful shopping centers in the Bay Area. Next. Again, infrastructure maybe doesn't have a lot of magic or pizzazz, but it's darn important to what we're doing. Next. So, We're asking you to support these three goals. Remember, the projects that I described may change as we go through this process. But it's important to remember the three goals that we're trying to promote here. We're in this room right back here. We're going to provide you with a map, and we're going to ask you what stores and retail you'd like in our communities. You can have little stickers, put them on the map, tell us what you want. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to also have a second map that tells us what problems are in your communities, what you want the county to address, and put those on the stickers as well. So, we're the guys that bring the jobs, we're the guys that bring the tax revenue, and mostly, we're the guys that bring the money. Thank you.